Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I had to have good hair going today because Mike Ricksecker's hair is always perfect. There's never a hair out of place. And, I think that's why he gets television shows, movie contracts, all of this stuff, best-selling books. That's why he's one of the best out there. It's because of his perfectly coiffed hair. And we're going to get to Mike here, a good friend of SOR here momentarily. But first, let's say hello to each and every one of you because I know I kind of screwed up the positions tonight. So we got Trucker Andrew in the gold medal position, JSCO with a silver, Little Cam taking home a bronze, Little Timmy James, how are you? Les Paul Holland, Frankie B, Kitty Caddywhack, Lisa Smith, how y'all doing? Race fan way down the line here, but yeah, there was a screw-up race fan. So just because of that, you're going to be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio, race fan. This doesn't count for your record, okay? Don't take this one personally. It's on me. Luscious Jules, how you doing? Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Eternity Eternal. Kurt W75 is here. Kurt W75 for the first time will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Millennium, my man. Cosmic Joe, good to have you here. Hi there, Woo am I? Jeremy Drones, he's got aliens. Yes, he does. Happening right over his house right now. Joseph Richardson, Cool Arrow, Necessary Dialogue, Resonate. Hillbilly Herb, how you doing? Operation Shutdown. The lovely and talented Deanna Ann. How you doing? Joanne, nice to see you. Hi there, Matt Geek. Number 17 in your program tonight, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Jansson, our resident hippie. Deidre is here. Yeah, she has her Birkenstocks on right now. Jennifer Beveridge, hello to you in the studio. Jay Trueseeker, Baywatcher, Chris Jarvis, Walter Kochabinski, how are you? Cielo, Christine Lynn. Just Ryan from New Orleans. How you doing, man? Good to have you here. As we scroll on down, Richard Minnick, Fast Hemi, Kitty Caddywhack again, because I wanted to say it again, Fapperoony, the talented and lovely Laura Elizabeth, Damian Wyatt. How you doing, man? Good to have you here tonight. Kicking off the Super Chat is Richard Minnick. Richard, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Scrolling on down, Super Sleuth, welcome to SOR Chat. And Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want that rigidness. Mike doesn't like rigidness. I don't like rigidness. So Mel's lubing us up, so this is a smooth show. Thank you, Mel. Appreciate it. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship, how are you? And who else do we have? Colleen Gorman, welcome to SOR Chat. Very much appreciated. Hey, Gary, thank you again. How's your beard doing, buddy? Give us a beard update, and thank you very much for that awesome Super Chat. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Desert Rat, how you doing? Jeremy Jones, thank you for that amazing super chat. Don't forget, you've got aliens, buddy. You've got them aliens happening right now. So make sure you're safe. You get your tinfoil on. Scrolling on down. Who else is next here? John Jackson, Evan D, Sierra. Good to have you all here. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are talking all things from UFO drones to paranormal and shadow people. Author, researcher, hair model, Mike Ricksecker is here tonight. Oh, he's laughing in the background. It's making me laugh. All right. Yeah, the beard is fierce. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. Scrolling on down as we are doing our roll call right now. John Jackson, how you doing? I'm ready. Don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and actually be proud to wear it. For all those in favor, let's throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of awesomeness tonight. We're talking drones. We're talking shadow people, paranormal. Author, researcher, Mike Ricksecker is here tonight to go over it all. He is one of the, in my opinion, one of the smartest people in this field, bar none. We're going to get to him momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick off another spooky story. We're then going to follow that up with Jackie Harmon, who returns for the Cryptid Report. All right, let's just jump into it. Mike Ricksecker is a researcher, author of the award-winning Travels Through Time, Amazon bestsellers, A Walk in the Shadows, and Alaska's Mysterious Triangle, as well as several historic paranormal books. He has appeared on multiple television shows and programs, including History Channel's Ancient Aliens and the Unexplained, Travel Channel's The Alaska Triangle, Discovery Plus's Fright Club, Animal Planet's The Haunted, and many, many more. This guy is all over the place. He's one of the best. He has hosted The Edge of the Rabbit Hole live stream show. He has his morning cup of coffee that he tells stories and research and information. He's an Air Force veteran. He's from Cleveland, Ohio, which means he's a Bengals fan suffering through Joe Burrow's struggling season. I can't believe it. But you know what the thing about Mike and Joe Burrow they have in common? Great hair. Fantastic hair. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Mike Ricksecker, my friend, it is always good to have you. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing pretty well, David. So we'll make one thing clear. I'm from Cleveland, so I'm a Browns fan. I mean, Joe Burrow does have great hair, but
that's the Canadian in me. I apologize. That's the Canadian in me.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm actually embarrassed right now because as a former sports reporter, what an idiot.
It's all good.
Cleveland Browns.
We're both in Ohio. And here's the funny thing. When it comes to the AFC North in football, is basically it's 3 variations of the Browns all battling the Steelers. Because, you know, the original owner of, or the original coach of the Browns Paul Brown ended up creating the Bengals. You have the original Browns ended up becoming the Ravens, and you have the new Browns, which is what we have now in Cleveland. So it's 3 different variations of the Browns all battling the Steelers. It's crazy.
I know. I honestly want to restart this show just because of that stupidity.
That's all right.
I really do. I can't believe I just did that. Oh, I'm embarrassed. Totally embarrassed. I just get so flustered when you're on the show, my friend.
It's because of the hair, right?
It is the hair. It is the hair.
And I have to comment on that. I laugh. You made a comment that that I was laughing in the background because when I was a kid, like 12 years old in 6th grade, I was bullied. I was made fun of for my hair. The way that I was trying to style it, it wasn't coming out right. So I don't know how many people remember the Van Halen video "Hot for Teacher."
Yes.
My hair was coming off looking like Waldo from that video. So I got teased relentlessly, Waldo. And so I don't know. I redeemed myself, whatever I did. Apparently, my hair is now my superpower. So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's I appreciate it, Dave. It's one of those things that it's coming from that background, and I was teased for a lot of different things as a kid, and what I want to let people know for that is just keep pushing forward. There will be things that people will tease you about, don't like about you, whatever it is, and just ignore it, keep pushing forward, and you'll find your superpower, whatever it is. I've got books, and I've apparently got hair.
It's funny because the last name Scott is my middle name. And then I have my last name, which literally is 11 letters long and is long in Ukrainian. And I got teased relentlessly for my last name. And
yes, that too.
It drove me nuts.
Oh, nuts. Dave, I get it.
Oh yeah,
take a look at my last name. I've decided I'm not going with a pen name. I'm retaining Ricksecker. Do you know how many different things I was told I sucked when I was a kid?
Oh, I bet. I bet. Hey, but the main thing is you found your niche just like I did. And, once you get into that high school drama, what was funny is I remember, this is many moons ago now, going to my 10th graduation anniversary, and all the same people were still hanging out doing all the same thing. And I left there because I was in radio back then, and everybody kind of knew my name. So I was, lack of a better term, I was the famous one, right? And all of a sudden, everybody's like coming up to me. All these people who I absolutely hated in high school, and they're all coming up to me. Oh man, can you get me into a game? Hey man, we were buddies in high school. Can you get me? I'm thinking, no, I didn't like you then. I don't like you now. Why am I going to do that?
Right.
Just one of those things, man. One of those things that just, you kind of grow up, you're like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it's, and I had it was interesting because I ended up at a reunion for a high school I never graduated from a couple years ago now. So I had moved when I was in 8th grade, but I ended up back at a high school reunion for because I had lived 10 years in Massachusetts as a kid. And there were those people that teased me back then. There were some that were cool, that were friends, and oh, hey, you remember Pat over here? Oh yeah, Pat the jerk. Yeah, sure. I remember you. It's almost like a triggering moment, but I just kind of let it slide off my back and say, yeah, okay, I see how it is. We're gonna play nice now, but hey, I remember.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, I haven't been to a reunion since, and never plan on going to another one again. That was enough. That one time, that 10-year anniversary, that was enough, man. It was totally, did what I had to do and then left. But that's not why
it's interesting because most of my friends actually the high school I graduated from in Ohio, most of my friends were a year ahead of me. So And I had some friends in my class, but when I go to those reunions, it's like there's maybe 5 people at most I talk to. It's like I want to go to the class of 91, not 92. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. It's all good, man. It's all good. That's not the reason why we have you here.
Yeah.
But what do you think's going on with all this drone stuff?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's pretty wild. So I've got a bunch of buddies, a lot of my colleagues over there in New Jersey that are sending me all kinds of interesting material. And I just posted a video tonight on all of that. So I had a blog article yesterday. I've got the video tonight on my YouTube channel covering a lot of the different possibilities of what they could be. And I've had people sending me all kinds of videos and photos and things like this. And I mean, there are a lot of different possibilities of what it could be. I postulated 5 different things that it could be in that particular video, and I do not think it's an Iranian mothership that's out in the Atlantic Ocean, but some of the interesting reports coming from the Coast Guard are saying that they're coming in off the sea. So it makes you wonder, okay, if some of these are coming in off the sea, are they coming up out of the water? Is there some sort of base out there, USOs, that sort of thing? So, so that causes us to question that. Is it some sort of government program? Are they coming off a Navy ship out there? And the interesting thing to me is that, the government is basically not saying anything about it. You have the governor of New Jersey saying, hey, if you want to shoot them down, go ahead. And this is why I think it's not a foreign adversary, because if it was Iran, if it was China or somebody else, Russia, we would be shooting them down. I mean, this is something we've done in the past where we've scrambled the jets, fly up there, that sort of thing. And we're not doing that. So they're either ours or our government understands what they are. And they're like, yeah, not a problem. So it's, there's some big secret here that they're not telling us.
Well, here's one of the things that I learned today is that the federal government gave a meeting to over 200 mayors from New York and New Jersey that are seeing these drones infiltrate their sky. And apparently they have said that they're not sure what they are. They don't know where they're coming from. But the one thing that they can guarantee is there is no threat.
Yeah, and how do they know that?
How do
they
you
know there's
that?
no threat?
But here's where it gets interesting, Mike, and I know you're ex-Air Force, and
Yeah.
thank you for your service, by the way.
I appreciate
And I have friends who worked some black projects.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I know about government black projects that I learned from these people that I talk to is when you're handling the material, because it's not material, it's material when it comes to,
Material, yes.
okay, you wear hazard suits. And in that mayoral meeting with the 200 mayors, government officials were saying that if any of these crash, immediately call the police and the fire department. Do not approach the area, and to forewarn all firefighters to not approach these drones unless they have hazmat suits on.
Yeah. Again, so here's the thing is the government is always going to try to control the narrative. We've seen a lot of these UFO hearings lately, and I appreciate that the government is finally recognizing that something is going on, but they kind of have to, because we're all running around with one of these days, a cell phone that has a HD or better camera on it, so we're able to capture a lot of these great photos and videos and these sorts of things. Back in the day, if anybody got out a camera, it was all fuzzy and really pixelated. Well, not even, back before digital cameras, it wasn't even pixelated. It was just blurry. Maybe a couple little lights, and you're looking at it like, what the heck is that? Right. But we're taking a lot more crisper and clearer photos these days and videos. So they have to at least admit something's going on in the sky. But they're going to do as much as they can to try to control the narrative and to sit there and say, hey, before you run out to a site, even you know, firefighters and these sorts of things, we want you to do this, that, and the other thing. Again, they're trying to control every step of the way. And by the time the firefighters get, their hazmat, how many firefighters actually have hazmat suits? I mean, they have gear for fighting fires, but they really have what we'd call a hazmat suit? Probably not. So by the time they're even able to find some sort of gear like that, the government's already out there and in control of the scene. So yeah, I lean toward that the government is up to something. And the question is, okay, is it that they are testing new technology, or are they testing our response to this sort of unusual activity going on? I'm thinking back to like the Brookings report back in like 1960, where back then they were talking about, if there was something that was, extraterrestrial in nature coming down to Earth, that U.S. citizens would panic and this sort of thing. We're not really seeing that these days. I think people are more interested in, hey, let me capture the video and throw it on social media. So is this a test in that regard, or is it technology that the government is testing?
Where are you leaning on this? I'm leaning towards this is a governmental, some sort of governmental operation, a black op operation, because of the timelines that I'm seeing. We're not seeing things being shot down.
Right.
If anything flies into an Air Force base, if you yourself had your pilot's license and flew into an Air Force base, there's going to be guns on you in a second. They may not shoot you down because they recognize the aircraft, but you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Right?
Right.
And with these drones flying into Air Force bases, over munitions places, over the president-elect's golf course, over other sensitive areas, and they're not shooting them down, that to me says something big.
Yeah, you just look at something simple like the Battle of Los Angeles, and yeah, we were at war at the time, but something's in the sky. I mean, how much shrapnel got thrown up at that thing, and I get that it's a bit of a different era. So yes, a lot of what I'm thinking, leans toward black ops, some sort of government program that's going on, and why they just simply won't say that, hey, we're testing something. It would be as simple as that, right? We know that our government has technology that they are trying to test. So I think you can at least admit that, hey, this is something we're doing, but there is a part of me that does, because some of the different images that I've seen, I mean, some of the images look like your maybe traditional drone, maybe a little bit larger. Some of them look like small helicopters, but then there are these others that have come out, and I posted a couple of photos in the video that I released tonight, that my good friend Ronnie LeBlanc had sent me from some people there in New Jersey, where professional photographer are taking photos of some of these objects, and some of them are actually coming off as these big giant orbs that have like some sort of interesting geometry to it. So it does make me wonder if some of these what we're calling drones, if it's not government, if it's not black ops, not that sort of thing, if it may be coming from somewhere else, not necessarily extraterrestrial, but maybe something interdimensional, because some of these photos of these orbs, so my latest book, Portals to the Stars, postulates that some of these, giant orbs that we're seeing in the skies with some of this different, whether it's paranormal, UFO activity, these sorts of things, that the orbs themselves are some sort of portal or Stargate. So is that what we're seeing? These different drone type objects coming in through some of these portals, watching and observing us and then going back there, whether that's something that's interdimensional, maybe something that's human or another intelligent life form from another point in time that's coming back to watch and observe our timeline. So there are some different ideas out here.
I'm not saying all of them are government official. I'm sure there are some out there that are just people flying their drones around to scare their neighbors.
It's
I do.
Elon.
But one of the things that I do want to profess to people is we got 3.5 minutes to go here before we go to break. Don't shoot at them.
Right. I saw
Okay?
some of that today where people are actually
Yes,
shooting
right.
at them. Don't do that. Yeah, because
Bullets come down.
if you miss, yeah, exactly. Yeah, bullets come down. If you miss, you might hit somebody, one of your neighbors or something like that. Yeah, don't do that.
I was watching a guy with a semi-automatic rifle today shooting at this drone. And
Yeah.
literally about 1 out of every 8 shots was getting close to it.
Mhm.
Okay. 1 out of every 8. And he fired probably 20, 25 rounds at this. That's the potential to accidentally kill 25 people.
Mhm. Yeah.
Those bullets are coming down. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Dave. Don't do that because if you miss,
Mhm.
yeah, those bullets are coming down somewhere. They could hurt somebody. They could kill somebody. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. As more as I thought about it, I understand why this person was doing this. Because when your government doesn't give you answers, okay, and they're saying, we don't know what it is, but we know it's not a threat. We don't know what it is, but it's not extraterrestrial. We don't know what it is, but we know it's not China, Russia, Iran. There was no Iranian ship. They're either covering something up or they're telling you that they know what it is, but they don't want to tell you because it's your own technology.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem here is, if it is government black ops, okay, and they fine, they don't want to admit that, hey, here's technology that, the technology is that it's not detectable by radar. They've developed something that, there's no radio waves emanating off of it. You can't detect it by radar. And once it turns off the lights, because a couple of police helicopters have gone up there to take a look. And once they get up there and they turn off the lights, boom, it's like it disappears into the night. So there's some interesting stealth technology that's going on here. Fine. We understand that, but I don't understand why you can't just sit there and say, hey, yeah, we're testing something, because you have people that are essentially panicking. And it's sad to see that okay, you're not giving us answers. It's been 3 weeks. I'm just gonna shoot this thing down because I'm tired of this. Yeah, it's we need some answers here.
In your opinion, why do you think, especially the federal government, with 1 minute to go here, and the military are being so secretive of this?
Because that's what they do. They will not admit to anything unless for some reason they absolutely have to. That's been their MO for decades. Until they absolutely have to admit something, they will deny everything. It's just the way they work.
That's not healthy for a population, though.
Well, no, but that's the way they work. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess when you have so much or an unlimited budget where you don't have to care, that's where I guess it comes up, and you just move on, move forward. Nothing to see here, people.
Yeah,
It's
and that's essentially what it comes down to is they don't care. They don't care how the populace reacts to these sorts of things. If this is their operation, yeah, they absolutely don't care. They are going to do what they do, and if the public asks, nope, 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 deny everything. Yeah, I've been in those situations. Yeah.
Mike, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Author, researcher, television star, podcaster extraordinaire, Mike Ricksecker. MikeRicksecker.com is his website. You can find all of his books there. One of the best in the field. We bring him back right after this. All right. There we go. So interesting, this story, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, and kind of it's really piggybacking on, because we just had 2 different congressional hearings on UAPs. So it's all coming kind of back to back to back like this.
Well, and that's what I kind of found funny, is if you look at the timeline, you have both hearings, then you have the presidential election, and during that presidential race, one of the parties kept talking about UFOs and the other one didn't.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the election happens and the UFO party gets in, if we could call it that, and then the drones start.
Right.
And then it starts popping up on the East Coast in New Jersey. And now, there's been some in Colorado and in other states. And now it's in California and kind of going on.
Florida earlier this evening. Yeah, they're seeing them all over now.
So,
but it makes you wonder, how many of those are legitimate, because you're going to have people, you will have people putting drones up into the sky just to get their drone on,
copycat people for sure.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, there's probably going to be the copycat people.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so how much of the new stuff is legit? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get back.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, we got about 3.5 minutes.
All right. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So how have you been?
Busy, man. Just never seems to slow down. I ended my relationship with the museum here, where I was doing a paranormal tour the last number of years, and I have too much to do it next year.
Yeah.
And so I'm turning that over to my friends, and hopefully they run it. But it got a little too political for me. And
that's unfortunate. Yeah.
Well, when you have to, you know what, bud? When you have to say to the directors, why can't you just shut up and take my money that I am raising for you?
Right.
Like, we're there for the last number of years. We have been their biggest donor every year.
Oh, wow.
And the only thing that we need them to do is unlock the buildings. That's it. Unlock the buildings. We don't ruin them. We don't do anything. But, dude, they have turned this place from one of the most haunted locations I have ever been in to the point now where we can't find a fucking ghost. Pardon the language. Can't find one. We know they're there.
They spooked off the spook, huh?
We know they're there. We just can't find them. And they keep doing stupid things like changing the rooms around, the buildings around, and they're not changing the buildings. The buildings are stationary, but they're changing what's inside around, and it's just messed with the entire culture of the buildings.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And you take people in there, like, dude, I used to be able to go into, we have this big barn. I used to be able to take people into this giant barn, okay, the Clydesdale barn. And I would have 5 to 8 people holding K2 meters. And the minute they walked in that door, there would be a ghost right at the door saying hello to them, because the K2 meter, the minute they crossed in, would go from green to bright red, and it would hold. Wow. I could stand around my people around in a circle okay, and say, hey, Mr. Spirit, come on in and light these up for these people. Bang, all 8 all around us would
Wow.
light up
Nice.
red. That's how active it was. And now
Nothing. Yeah, that's
bear
unfortunate.
with me here, my friend. Thank you, Richard, with the hat trick super chat. Gary, can't even read my own writing. Kitty Caddywhack, Raven, and Jeremy for the great super chats. Really appreciate that. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag people. Hi, Jazz. Chuck G, welcome to SOR chat. And who else has joined us here? Well, you might not get a hello. Randy, how are you? Here we go. Here we go, the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate hurting your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. We'll get to Mike Ricksecker here momentarily. But first, I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Mike Ricksecker, author extraordinaire, is here. He researches everything from UFOs to paranormal and supernatural events. We're talking about the drones over New Jersey. Mike, who do you think's making them? And did you see the post by Lockheed Martin yesterday at exactly 9 a.m. Pacific, where they put out a picture of their brand new silent drone that can be used for stalking people?
Yeah, you gotta love Lockheed, right? Yeah, scheduled post, boom, here we go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I believe it's some sort of human-made technology. I believe the government is involved. I have, of course, thrown out the idea that there could be some interdimensional play at here, just because of some of the photos that have come about of the again, most of the photos that you're seeing look like a drone or a small helicopter or something like that, but there are a handful that have come about that look like some sort of giant orb with some sort of geometry or whatever. So it's like that's the one little bit that makes me wonder, is some of this interdimensional? But for the most part, I believe it's some sort of government black ops or that sort of thing.
As we move forward, how do you think this is going to end?
Well, again, the government's not going to admit anything until they absolutely have to. And at this point, they've kind of backed themselves into a corner, because if they admit now that, oh yeah, it was this organization over here of ours that was doing whatever, well, you've been saying for 3 weeks it's not us. So it kind of paints them in a bad light. Because again, the government would have to come out and say, yeah, we've been lying to you. And that's one thing that the government they don't ever want to say that we're lying to you, but we know that they're always keeping information from us. So it's a really interesting dichotomy how that aspect works. I think they're kind of hoping to just, well, I want to say, I think they're hoping it just goes away, but they're the ones that keep launching these things. So it's, how long do they plan on doing these tests? That I don't know, but maybe they're hoping that at some point, once they're done with their testing and they disappear, that we'll just sweep it under the rug. We just won't talk about it anymore, because of the way that the news cycle kind of works like that.
Yeah, I think it's just one day going to end, and that's it.
Yeah, and then nobody will talk about it anymore. Oh yeah, the drones are gone, and yeah,
and then people are going to be like, "Where did this go? Where did this go?" I mean, and we're all going to be like, huh?
Yeah, one day the drones will be gone. We won't be talking about it. We'll wonder for a few days where'd they go, where'd they go, where'd they go. And then because they're not appearing anymore, people will move on to the next popular topic. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you think that the black ops are really laughing at the American public right now, and at you know, it just
Well,
Mike, I don't even know how to even explain this because I really think that they're making fun of this situation. Black ops people have a real bad, weird sense of humor. They do. I've met a couple of them.
they
I haven't met many. Maybe you've met more than I have, but I,
yeah, I mean, they do, but it's not necessarily that they're laughing at us. It's I mean, it's almost terrible to think about this, but really, at least the ones that I've dealt with, and we're talking some years ago, a couple decades ago now. Um, but they just didn't care. They just really didn't care what the public thought. We're just going to do our thing, whatever the public thinks, they're going to think, and we're gonna do our thing. So in a lot of ways, yeah, we might think that sort of thing, Dave, that they're laughing at us. In many ways, they're just really not, because they just don't care what the public thinks.
well, I mean, they're not taking them out. They are you
Right.
surprised the Air Force, the Navy, the Army hasn't ordered shooting these things down yet?
Well, and that's the thing is, when it came to the idea of it being a foreign adversary like Iran, China, these sorts of things, um, they would have gone up there immediately and shot them down. And we've seen that reaction in the past, like the big UFO flaps in the 1950s. Um, they were immediately up in the air and trying to see what was going on. We haven't done that yet, which means that the US government and the US military deems whatever's going on okay. So if they are comfortable with it, okay, fine. It's not a threat, but it also leads us to believe that they're in on it. They know what's going on. And so and that's the disconcerting part, is for the US government to come out and say, or some of these different organizations, like the FBI and some of these others, to say, hey, we don't know what's going on. Well, okay, then why aren't one of these organizations sending something up to go check it out? So that's the part where we know that they're lying. They have to know what's going on, because if they didn't, they would be sending the jets up to go take a look.
And that's the big thing. Like they're sending up their own drones. The police are sending up drones. They're trying to get close to these drones.
Mhm.
And and the Air Force, obviously, or the military would be doing the same thing, but there is no reaction.
Yeah,
And if the public needs to figure out what's going on, look at the no reaction effort on this. Like you said, if it like when the Chinese balloons were coming over, what did we do? We shot them down.
right. Although it took a little while for us to shoot them down. I don't know why we were so hesitant on that. But here we have just like no reaction whatsoever. The only reaction has been from a couple of police helicopters went up there, like local guys that went up there to take a look. And once they got close, the lights went off and the drones disappeared, or just kind of, I don't know, under cover of darkness, they weren't able to see them anymore. So yeah, it's just been local police. It has not been the U.S. government at all, which is pretty disconcerting. And that's what leads me to believe that they know what is going on, because otherwise, yeah, they'd be sending something up.
Yeah, that's just crazy. Just crazy.
Mm.
And realistically, I think um one of the things that we also have to look at too is what kind of name do you think this is all giving the UFO world?
Yeah, and that's one of my concerns too. Is because for the ufology community, we've had a lot of wins here lately, where with the congressional hearings, you've had, even though it's information that we've been talking about for years, that there's crash materials, there's anomalies in the sky, this sort of thing. We've been talking about that since the 1940s, at least. And so to have that put forth to Congress, and they're having meetings, those were wins. But these last couple things here, where you had the one hearing with the new director of Aero, and he's trying to throw everything off on, there's something else in the sky that we can't talk about, and it's parallax, trick of the eye, and it's like it's sounding like something out of the movie Men in Black, where Will Smith is saying, well, it's light refracted off of Venus into some swamp gas, kind of ridiculous stuff like that. So you just had that, and then you're having this thing with the drones, where I think most people believe, and there's going to be some different opinions, but I think most people believe it's a government operation, just because of the way this has gone down. That I think a lot of people that were starting to come around on, there are different things that are going on in the sky. It may actually be something that's extraterrestrial, unexplained. I think these last couple of things here, it's going to start putting the doubt back into their mind that it's just the government that's up to something.
Yeah, I want it to be alien. I do. I want it to be alien so bad, man. But I think part of the issue that we're going to see here when this turns into a nothing burger, I think what we're going to end up seeing here is all of the skeptics, the UAPers, and everybody start calling this, this subject phony. That's all people have been seeing over the years is drones, because the UAPers are based. Nicole Sackage probably says it best. She calls it the 2017s. There's ufology and there's uapology, which are the 2017s. And the 2017s, not all of them, but a lot of them, they're all about the technology of it all. They're not about the experience and the phenomena, much like the pre-2017s are. And I would tend to agree with that observation. That being said, I think that a lot of these 2017s or UAPers are going to be very much more about maybe flushing this, saying this has all been drones. We've all been duped. This is, human technology. There are no aliens out there. And we kind of go from there. What's your thoughts on
this is part of my problem, that the government is trying to control the narrative, and that's when it's come to these hearings. I've been saying all along that it's great that we are having this conversation. It's great that this information has been presented in a form where it can be written into the record, because for decades, people laughed at our community. However, to me, it's the government trying to control the narrative. They can no longer deny that there are strange things going on in the sky, because again, everybody has a cell phone that they're running around with and can take these great videos and photos and that sort of thing. But it's in the vein that, okay, we're going to admit that something unusual is going on in the sky, but we are going to control the story, so that the government, again, I think some of it is black ops. I think some of it is extraterrestrial. We don't know which is which. But they're going to control the story for as long as they can.
Yeah, they're totally going to control this narrative as much as they say that they're going to. And like I said, people have to be aware that the UFO community is going to take a hit over this. It's going to hurt the popularity. And I think what it also may do is it also may, if it does come out that this is government technology, like many of us suspect, it may all of a sudden as well push a lot of the politicians away who have been championing for answers.
Yeah, I agree with that. That this one incident could just turn a lot of people off from the groundwork that's been done here the last several years. So yeah, this could be just some sort of foil for all of that, because we've had a lot of discussion, we've had a lot of talk. I mean, the television shows talking about it have been on for decades, and that has warmed a lot of people up. Even the film industry, you go back into the 70s, Close Encounters and that sort of thing. It's kind of been ramping up, kind of prepping us for this sort of discussion of there being other life forms in the universe that may actually be coming to Earth. And I think this might actually be the government's way of throwing a foil out there that, hey, look at this, it's actually just the drones. And here's it's kind of one of the problems with humanity, and it's something that's come up in a lot of my other work, where people want one single answer to kind of wrap everything up in a nice bow. So like if it's I don't know, something like shadow people, I'll get asked a lot of times, what's a shadow person? It's like, and I tell people, there's not one single answer for that, but people want one single answer for it. Wrap it up in a nice little bow, and this is that sort of thing. But that's just not the truth. So like when we talk about like an orb, right? People want to know, okay, when I see this big giant orb anomaly, what is that? Okay, maybe it's ball lightning. Okay, it's all ball lightning. Well, it's not, though. But that's what people want. They want one nice simple answer for what this thing is, wrap it up in a bow and put it off to the side. And so I think because the government knows this about humans in our nature, that, hey, if we throw some drones out there, then if people see that these unusual lights in the sky are just our testing, our drones, and then people will generally consider, oh, that's what these strange lights are in the sky. It's just government testing with drones, wrap it in a nice bow, push it off to the side. And that's unfortunate.
I agree with you on that. I totally agree. We're going to take this topic till the top of the hour, because in hour 2, you are what I would call one of the foremost researchers on shadow people and things like that. And I want to get into some paranormal stuff with you while we're here. Do you think this is going to question whether or not we are being visited? Do you think it's going to question whether or not we know what a UFO actually looks like?
Well, I think those that are, already established in the community, that already believe in this phenomena, that have been following things for decades. I mean, we know that this is just one single incident, and really doesn't affect all the other things that have been going on for years and years and years. I think most of us know that we have been visited, whether that is, from other beings in the cosmos, or from other beings that are here alongside us in some other dimension. I think those within the community know that. I don't think those within the community are going to be affected. It's those that are on the fence that is going to affect. Those that are been looking back and forth. Do I believe? Do I not believe? So this might sway some of those type of people into thinking that, well, maybe it's not. So that's where it's going to hurt.
I think it is too. And, it makes a good conversation, though. It really does make the conversation. But let's switch gears here for a second. Okay, change our hats for a second. What if this is UFOs? What if this is alien technology?
Yeah. I mean, some of what we have learned about these things, that they're not showing up on radar, that they're not emitting any sort of radio signal. That's interesting. So again, that could be some sort of new technology from humans, but it could also be it could actually be a type of alien technology. And one of the things I was talking about earlier with the orb, some of these other photos that have come about where you're seeing these giant balls of light. It's one of the things in my book Portals to the Stars, where I postulate that some of these giant balls of lights, they might not be spirits, because a lot of people in the paranormal community will say, look at orbs and say, oh, that's like some sort of spirit or ghost or something like that. But you see a lot of those types of anomalies with with UFOs. You see a lot of those types of anomalies with Sasquatch. And when we look at um, the idea of an Einstein-Rosen bridge or a wormhole and these sorts of things, usually in our minds we think there's a tunnel that starts with this big gaping circle that we walk into. Well, a circle in three-dimensional space is a sphere. It's basically a giant orb. And so, are these actually what those are? That this is the mode of transportation for UFOs or Sasquatch or some of these other beings that are coming in and out of our plane of existence. That's what these things are. So, so it's interesting that you're seeing kind of this mix of these giant orbs with these drones. So, you got to think about it. If we were to go to another planet, or if we had learned how to traverse to another dimension, we're probably not going to send living beings in there first. We're probably going to send some sort of drone or probe or something like that into it. Think back to the Stargate movie from 1994. What was the first thing they sent into the Stargate? They sent a probe in there to see what was on the other side. So we would probably do the same sort of thing. We would send a probe or a drone or something like that. So the extraterrestrial idea or other interdimensional life forms, that could be what we are seeing, is some sort of probe or drone from these other life forms just to check out who we are and what's going on in this dimension around this planet. So that's a possibility.
Well, like I want this to be aliens. I want it to be aliens so bad, Mike.
Of course.
And I do believe there has been things that are anomalous that we don't know. But until we know the technology that the US government is actually hiding, it's going to be a hard call. Like I said, I've talked to insiders who believe that there is something strange happening here that they can't explain, but 90 to 95% of what we're seeing is US tech being tested. Now, that seems high to me. I'm just repeating the stats because I really want this to be aliens. I do.
Yeah, and it's really hard to know because the government is going to keep tight-lipped on their technology that they're testing, and for obvious reasons, because we don't want our foreign adversaries to know about our technology. We want to stay ahead of the game in that, because I mean, it's been the same thing for thousands of years. The person with the higher technology, they have the upper hand on the other civilizations and cultures. So, we've seen for thousands of years that, if you had a better weapon, then you had a better chance of conquering your adversary. So we don't want our opponents across the world to know the technology that we have, because we want to keep ourselves safe and secure and have that upper hand so that nobody messes with us. So that makes it really hard to know. Is it us testing our technology, or is it something else? Yeah, like you, Dave, I would like it to be something else.
What's your message to the people of New Jersey as we got about 90 seconds to go before we go to break?
Don't panic. Don't shoot at the stuff. Take as much photos and videos as you can of this, because that will help us to try to figure out what in the world is going on here. Put your best Indiana Jones hat on and go out there and check it out. But don't panic and don't start shooting at these things.
Yeah. Remember, people, gravity is an amazing thing. Bullets will fall to the earth. If you shoot at these things, those bullets are coming down.
And they will hurt your neighbor. Yeah.
The last thing that you want is the responsibility in knowing that you may have hurt, or worse, to some innocent person out there or innocent kid. That would be the worst feeling in the world. It's not worth it. Mike, when we return on Spaced Out Radio with you, I do want to get into a lot of the more paranormal stuff. We'll try and sneak in some audience questions as well. But I know you follow the stories of shadow people and all sorts of paranormal hauntings, and I think it's going to be great in order to have that conversation with you as well. Mike Ricksecker is our guest on Spaced Out Radio. You can find his books on his website, MikeRicksecker.com. You probably recognize him from numerous television shows. The guy's been on everything. Well, when you got hair like that, I mean, it's obvious. Dude, I'm trying to clone you here. I think the reason why I'm not...
it looks pretty similar.
Well, the reason why I'm not getting any TV shows is because my hair is too white. I look like Santa Claus over here. Santa Claus, let me tell you. We'll be right back with Mike Ricksecker. Once again, his website, MikeRicksecker.com. Find all his books there and where he's touring and events he's taking place. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, buddy. We got about 6 minutes. I'm going to put you back in the green room, and I'll be right back, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Be right back, everybody. I'm back. Let's bring Mike back in. Oh. At this time, we want to say hello to all the agents and agencies that are tuned right in, listening to us talking about the drones here on Spaced Out Radio. I'll put my NRO or my NSA hat on here just because I can, and remind everybody that give us a call sometime. You already got the phone number. You don't need me to give it to you. Just give us a call and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So there.
There you go.
Yeah. One of my listeners, good listeners, works for the NSA, gave me that hat in Las Vegas.
Nice.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Because I kept on thanking all the agents and agencies for tuning in. He's like, I thought you needed a hat for this. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. Thank you, Charlie. Love you, buddy.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of wonder how much it's changed over the because I was there 95 to 98. I mean, very into 95 to 98. So that was a long time ago. So I wonder how much it's changed over the years.
Oh, I'm sure it's changed quite a bit, brother. Sure, it's changed a lot. Probably a lot more secretive too.
Probably. It's always been secretive.
Big thank you to Richard with a hat trick, Gary, Jeremy, Kitty Cattywhack, Raven, and Major Lee, or make that extra small Lee, for the great super chats tonight. Very much appreciate the love and support, everybody. And let's make this happen. Here we go, everyone. 5 seconds. The second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Author and researcher Mike Ricksecker is our guest. We'll get to him momentarily. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadragenarius is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right, let's get right to Mike Ricksecker. His website, MikeRicksecker.com. You can get any of his award-winning books on that website. They're also on Amazon and every major online bookstore as well. Michael, thank you so much for being here. Very much appreciate you.
Yeah, I always have a great time being on your show, Dave. We've known each other for a while, and we always have a wonderful conversation.
You know, we've known each other for about 9 years now.
Something like that. Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah. 9 years. Yeah. It's been a long time, man. We got to run into each other one time here. It
One
has
of
to.
these days. Yeah. Yeah. Cause we've never actually met in person. So yeah, we have to one of these days.
I know. One of these days. Before we get into the shadow people, I want to ask you a quick question here. If this is aliens doing these drones, what's next? What now? Does it shut down all these podcasts that are out there? Does it increase them? Does it take over and change life effective immediately? If all of a sudden Auk and the Gray Zeta Reticuli hop out of their ship and say, hey, humans, we're here and we're not leaving. What do you think?
So I think would actually increase the number of podcasts. You'll see all kinds of YouTube and TikTok videos. You'll see people run around. Oh, I'll get a selfie with with their local alien or something. Here's the thing. A long time ago, decades ago, the idea of us running into extraterrestrial life was we thought it was going to put the world into panic, right? You had the Brookings Report in 1960 and all of that, where we had this idea that it was just going to cause mass panic. And yeah, we just had the panic a couple of years ago with the toilet paper, but I think people are really open to the idea of extraterrestrial life. I think most people understand that the universe is huge, it's massive. There's going to be other life out there, and the idea that it may be visiting us, I don't think is too far beyond the capacity of most people to think about. So, we finally have those ETs that are down here with us, that this is finally an open discussion. I think most people will be accepting of it. You will still have those skittish people that will, do something stupid. That is going to happen. But I think most people will actually be very accepting of it.
I wonder if there's going to be use for what we do in reporting this, because it is going to open up a whole lot of answers for millions upon millions of questions.
Right. It will change. So it's no longer going to be, if there is extraterrestrial life, or what that extraterrestrial life might be, or when is disclosure going to happen. It's going to be more along the lines of, this is what we've learned from these ETs. This is what their world looks like, if they tell us what it looks like. And there'll be all kinds of different ideas and the concepts of, it's just say if the ET we encounter and is presented to us is from Alpha Centauri, there's suddenly going to be 1,000 different podcasts on Alpha Centauri and what life like out there might look like, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the direction I think the conversation will go once that is finally officially made clear that yes, there is ET life out there. That just changed the conversation a little bit.
You do believe, though, that ET life has visited here?
I do. Yeah. I think there's enough evidence, as far as much as the government has tried to hide it. I think there's enough evidence that there has been crash material. I do believe Roswell was an ET crash. So like when David Grush comes before Congress and says we have crash material, again, not new news. We've been talking about that since Roswell, and the material he could have been talking about. And for him, it was secondhand information. It's not like he saw it or anything, but he was in those conversations where people were talking about it. It could have very well have been the Roswell material that he was talking about. I think that's happened here in our more modern past. I believe it's happened in our ancient past as well. We see that in a lot of different ancient cultures where, they were presenting these things, these ETs, as their gods. And in many cases, they were actually beings from another world.
What do you think would happen if these were aliens? This was the start of some sort of, I don't want to use the word invasion, but I'm going to use that word. What do you think would happen? What do you think the first day? What do you think is going to happen? Day one.
Well, you never know. It could be like the British invasion of the 1960s with the Beatles, right? Where they're like rock stars. And hey, we had the Beatles roll into Cleveland here during that time, the home of rock and roll. And they were met with open arms. It's going to be mixed. You look at the image that comes to my mind immediately is Independence Day, where all of a sudden you got the big craft that are lining up over the cities, and you had what was it in Los Angeles, where they're going to the top of the tower and they've got the signs, "Hey, welcome to Earth." I think a lot of people are going to be like that. I think there's a big part of the population that has been waiting for this and is absolutely going to embrace it. Yes, I do believe that you're going to have your skittish people that, sure, there will be some fear with a with a section of the population, but I think that has become a smaller and smaller section of the population. My concern is with the government, because the government, with these beings coming to Earth, they are still going to try to control that conversation as much as possible. So that's my concern: is what kind of spin is the government going to put on it? What information are they going to give the public, and how much do we have to go out there and try to seek out one of these extraterrestrials to actually get the real information? Because the government's only going to give us a very small part. Again, I think this is something that's already been going on for a while. I think the government knows about extraterrestrials. They already have some information. And so that's a part that they are also going to try to hide, is that they have known about this for a long, long time. So they don't want that coming out, because then it will be, oh, we've been lying to you for decades. I think most people know that they've been lying to us for decades, but there's a good part of the population that doesn't want to know that the government has been lying to. There's a comfort in thinking that, you know, the government has our best interest at heart. The government has the government's best interest at heart, not the general populations, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And you know, it's scary to think how people would react. We have to remember that we are a very small minority of people in a large population, not only in the United States, but North America and the world, that are educated on this subject, as educated as we could be. And I think that it's very, very intriguing to see how they would play this out. I think on day one, if something happened, that it would be trying to calm the panic down, trying to keep vigilantes from shooting at drones, you know. And go ahead.
And that's, you know, with the whole drone issue right now, a part of me wonders if that isn't a test. If it's not about technology at all, if it's just about testing the population, because we have had a lot of these hearings and these sorts of things lately. So maybe it could very well be a test, again, going kind of back to the 1960s Brookings report of people thinking that there was going to be a mass panic. Okay, let's throw some drones out there and let people wonder what they might actually be. Some people are going to think that they're ETs and this sort of thing. So let's see how they react. You know, so is this just some big social experiment that the government has put out there?
And yet there are people who are in the know and cannot give the answers. That's what's scary. Let's switch topics here.
Sure.
Paranormal. I want to get into some of this with you before we get into some audience questions, because a lot of them are about drones.
Yeah.
You are quite well known in the paranormal world for your work on shadow people and what shadow people are. Who are they? Are they spirits? Are they demons? Are they something that we just cannot account for? Many people, including myself, have had encounters with these beings. What do you think they are?
So short answer is all of the above. Because they are. I mean, it really depends on the shadow. They can be a lot of different things. Yeah, they can be a human spirit that hasn't fully manifested as an apparition. They can be an ET, in guise or in other modes of transportation. They can be an interdimensional being. They can be a light being. They can be a time slip. All these different things. It's really what a shadow person is the way that our eyes are taking in the light. We only see into a very narrow band of the entire spectrum. So these beings and these entities are really, they have a similar energetic modality to them. And it's just the way that our eyes are taking in the light. So and that's why some of them come off as very translucent, some of them come off as solid, some of them come off as mists, wisps, these sorts of things. It's just the way that our eyes are perceiving the light.
Are they spirits of people who are haunting us, or are they harbingers of something of the unknown?
Well, I don't really ever think of them as harbingers. There's a lot of people will say, well, they're the darkest of the dark, the evil of most evil entities, that sort of thing. And here's the thing: is just like with humans. Okay, some humans are good, some humans are bad. Same with shadow people. Some are going to be so good, some are going to be bad. It just really depends on that particular entity. And people want to know, are the ones wearing the hats, are they bad? Are the ones wearing the hoods, are they bad? Well, I've heard both stories, where you've had hooded figures that will actually do things to help a person, one from falling down the stairs at a monastery in Ireland, obviously at an ancient monastery in Ireland is probably a monk that had, once actually lived, and, he reached out and saved the person from falling down the stairs. And then I have stories of hooded figures raising people off the bed by their ankles. So, it's kind of a mixed bag. It just really depends on that particular entity and what their motivation is. So, when people say, "Oh, I saw a shadow person in this particular building," what do you think it is? What should I do about it? Well, I need more information. This is where you put your investigative hat on, go out there as a paranormal investigator, and figure out what in the heck you're actually dealing with, because yes, it could be good, it could be bad. It could be a human spirit, it could be an ET, it could be all of these different things, and so you got to figure it out.
Have you ever heard of these things haunting people? In right before tragedy, or right before something drastic happens in their life.
So you do hear, okay, about these harbingers. Um, they can come off as shadows. They can also come off as light beings in other different forms. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a shadow, but yeah, that happens. And in a lot of cases, I don't want to say this. In a number of cases, not all. I'm very, very hesitant to ever say it's all, because there are a lot of variations here. In a lot of cases, it's like somebody's loved one. They know that something is about to happen to the person. So it's not necessarily a harbinger of death, or some sort of harm, that this being is causing upon you. A lot of times it's a loved one that has come down because they know something is going to happen to you. So in that sense, they're coming down to offer some sort of comfort. But again, because the way your eyes take in the light, they're coming off as a shadow to you, when it's just really their manifestation of the energy that's around them, that you're just seeing them in this particular capacity.
Hmm. The one that I saw that still kind of sticks with me in my mind was way before I even started SOR,
Mhm.
years before, like almost a decade before. And it was funny because about 3 weeks previous to that, I was listening to Art Bell at night, who had a guest on about shadow people.
Mhm.
And at that time, I was renting a basement suite where my front door was at the back of the house. So I had to go through the fence, okay, to walk down the path beside the house, and then, turn into the back to where my front door was underneath the balcony of my landlord's. Long story short, I lived in an area where there were raccoons, there were foxes, coyotes, mountain lions, and bears. So, yeah, go figure. That's Canada, right?
Right.
So one day I was coming home from work. It's about 1:30 in the morning. And I noticed that my sensor light at my door was on. And so I kind of took the corner wide just in case it was an animal. That way I could spook it out of there or whatever it may be.
Sure.
And standing at my door was this literally this block cartoon character
Hmm.
of this shadow person that was probably, well, what's a door? 7 feet, 6 feet, 6.5 feet, 7 feet. Literally the
Yeah.
height of the door. It was It was like a child had drawn it, Mike. It had no hat. It had a round head.
Okay.
It had like the square arms, you know how kids would draw like a shirt on a
Mhm.
person, with the same type of pants. There were no feet, no hands, and it's
Mm.
standing there, and I'm standing there looking at it, and it's probably 25 feet away from me, staring at my door. It then turned to me, looked at me, did a 180, and took off right through the cement brick barrier wall that was on the other side of the house. And I looked at that and I thought, I can't believe I just saw that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I just lost my microphone here for a second.
Oh, no worries. It happens.
Yep. It makes you wonder, or at least makes me wonder how it saw you if it took off like that. It's almost like you spooked it.
Yes, that's
yeah.
exactly what it was like. Exactly what it was like.
Yeah. I've had that happen before, but not with a cartoon character like that. This was like a wisp of a shadow where I had walked into, we were investigating an old restaurant, historic building, and I'd walked into the kitchen area and this wisp of a shadow just like darted, but it was like I had spooked it, and blew right through a door. And the thing was, you could hear the bang of the door, but the door didn't actually move, so it was like it banged into the door on its dimension or its point in time or something like that. And so what I've kind of postulated from that was, for a long time I was saying it was on some other dimension, and it opened up the door in its other dimension. But when I wrote Travels Through Time, it was like, I bet it was just in another point in time, and it could have been in the past, where I walked into the kitchen. Maybe it saw me as a ghost, maybe it saw me as a shadow, and this was an actual person, and it ran off running through that door. And its point in time, it blew right through that door out into the dining room area. But sound works on a different wavelength, so I could hear it, but not see it actually happen. So that actually made me start to wonder, okay, so am I the ghost or the shadows person that spooked this person maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, and started creating the ghost stories of this place? And is that why we are investigating this location? So it was almost kind of circular in nature. It's interesting though with your story how it was very cartoonish in nature. Again, we see these things in a lot of different formats, but it's to me almost more compelling that you seem to have spooked it. So how did it see you? Did it see you as a cartoon character as well, on the other side, or a bit differently? Yeah.
Well, looking back on it, the way you just kind of proposed that, I'd never really thought about it that I was speaking or that I was spooking it. You know what I'm saying? I never thought about it that way until you've just mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of times we don't necessarily consider the way that the entity is perceiving us. We always think about it in the way that we are seeing it. But like for example, we had an incident, it was some years ago now, where there were 5 of us that saw this apparition of a little girl that morphed into existence out of shadow smoke. This was at the Mineral Springs Hotel in Alton, Illinois. But we all saw her a little bit differently, where like I saw her fully formed at her head down to her feet, or down to her knees, and then she dissipated away. Others saw her fully formed at her feet, and then she's in upward, and then she dissipated away at the head. So we all saw her a little bit differently. And that's because we all have our own personal resonance. Like scientifically, the human standing resonance is anywhere from about 9 to 16 hertz. We're all a little bit different, which is why we see these beings and entities differently. I can be standing next to a person like in this particular instance, and we saw her differently. Some people like don't even see it at all. Like I see something right there, and the other person doesn't see it at all. But we all see things a little bit differently. But that being also has their own personal resonance, energy, and vibration, and it's anybody's guess how they actually see us, right? Like
on that note, Mike, I'm going to get you to hold on
right.
right there. Mike Ricksecker on Spaced Out Radio. We return right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, we are clear. Man, this is flying by.
And there's Nicole down there. Yeah, Alton is the haunted capital of Illinois. It is. Oh, I love Alton.
Have you ever had a chance to speak with Nicole?
Yeah, I've met Nicole. We met a few years ago at
the UFO conference.
It was the UFO Mega Conference in Laughlin. Yeah, and then there was I was because Grant Cameron. She works with Grant Cameron in his podcast, and so she had me on there. We had a 3-way conversation that was cool. So Nicole's great.
Yeah, amazing. I was just talking to her for about half an hour before the show here tonight. Yeah,
it's been too long, Nicole. So I got to tell you, Dave.
Yeah.
So my best friend in high school is only about a year older than me. His hair is pretty much like yours. Kind of
nice.
It's kind of gone a little white here over the last few years, but so is he. You mentioned before that you're looking like Santa Claus a little bit, and yeah, that's kind of what I've said about Ron, my buddy. He's a little bit like Santa Claus.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and on that note, I see that you got a guy there, Richard Minnick, who keeps throwing you super chats down there. So my barber is named Chris Minnick. I don't know if there's any relation there, North Ridgeville, Ohio, but yeah. Staying on the hair topic.
Got to get you to BC, man.
No, I'd love to go. That'd be great.
Yeah. As I was telling you about leaving that ghost tour, I'm going to be starting a personal project coming up here next spring once all the snow melts. And I got one location, Mike. A lot of weird stuff happens there.
Yeah.
Full body apparitions, aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, all in probably if I said 100 yards, like the size of a football field, no, maybe 3/4 of a football field size.
Okay.
Right in the middle of the forest. You'd never know it's there.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to be starting a project out there, and I'm just kind of piecing it together right now. Like the other day, I decided that I got to invest in about 3 cameras because for the minute I drive in there, because it's hard to drive in there, but the minute I drive in there, I have to be filming because you'd never know what you're going to catch.
There's that much going on there, huh? That's cool.
And the other thing is that I've decided that I'm going to do is I'm going to do probably bi-weekly. I would like to do weekly, but I'm probably going to be doing bi-weekly tests for the first while.
Okay.
And literally all I'm going to do is just sit there. Sit in the lawn chair. I'm not doing anything else but sitting there. It's going to be boring as hell, but it will be me. It will be whoever joins me because I won't go to that area alone.
Yeah.
And
and I think that a lot of times is what you have to do is just sit and listen and watch and observe. And yeah, it might be for a lot of people, it might be boring, but it's just tuning in with the environment.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Go
this
for it.
place scares me.
Does it really?
Yeah. Like it's not comfortable. Brown Dwarf, if you want to come on up, you come on up. I'll take you out there.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to.
Dude,
Let's explore.
Dude, I get sick to my stomach just talking about it, and the damn place is haunting me. Like I could see it at night. It comes to me. Like if I'm just have nothing on my mind, it comes to me. It's
It's that crazy active.
Yeah, but you never know when.
Okay.
52 people died there in a plane crash.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the wreckage is still there. Their seats are still there.
Oh my gosh. That's
They
sad.
got all the bodies, but
Okay.
but I'm literally afraid.
Mhm.
And I'm not playing that up for camera or YouTube or anything. I'm literally afraid of that place.
Wow. Okay.
And I know I got to go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everybody, here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a great guest, Mike Ricksecker, here until the top of the hour. We're going to get to him momentarily. But first, reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives or go to any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Mike, we're talking some shadow people and ghosts and legends with you here right now. During the break, I was telling you about this haunted location that I'm going to be spending some time in. Have you ever been haunted by a location?
Oh, that's an interesting question, because I've been to a lot of haunted locations. I don't know if necessarily haunted by a location. I mean, I had a childhood home, at least when I was in middle school and high school. There was something that was going on there but it was only really like for the first 4 months where there was some sort of shadow entity there. It was this being was kind of translucent in nature. I ended up calling him Tom, like Peeping Tom, because he would always like poke his head in my doorway, and then I'd turn and look at him. He'd run off down the hall. It was something that I had seen, my mother had seen. It was kind of known to us, but it was one of those. It was like, I don't know. He was there checking out the new family moving into the house after a few months, deemed that we were okay, and went about its business. Yeah, I mentioned Mineral Springs Hotel, Alton, Illinois. That's a haunted location that I really, really enjoyed investigating. Had a lot of experiences there. My favorite haunted house would be the Stone Lion Inn, Guthrie, Oklahoma. It's just like the epitome of a haunted house. So in those aspects, I could say sure, yeah.
But have you ever had a location call you back where you can't get it out of your head?
Yeah, I mean, those would be this place like I mentioned, Mineral Springs or Guthrie, places I went back multiple times, kept going back. That I did a lot of work at those particular locations. Those would definitely be the top two. Another one would have been the Goldenrod Showboat, but that's now gone. It burned in an arson fire, unfortunately. But yeah, those couple of locations just always called back to me. I had to keep investigating. Well, and the thing is when you go back multiple times, and I think this is a very good investigative technique, is you're trying to build a rapport with the spirits that are there, because these were once people. And as you're building that rapport, you're actually making friends with them. And so, so you want to go back and visit your friends sometimes.
Yeah. What's the most scared you've ever been on a location?
So, yeah, that's a question I get sometimes. I've never been scared during an investigation. I mean, I was scared very first like significant paranormal experience that I had, but I was 8 years old at the time. And this was something that got physically interactive with me. So of course I'm going to be scared. The other time I would say a bit spooked. It was not during an investigation. I was an adult at the time, and a person that I was involved with, she was having a bad night, let's just say that, and she had gone back to her childhood home, and which was an abandoned house at the time, and she had parked her SUV in the backyard. And so I went down there to basically talk her off a ledge. I parked in the driveway, walked to her SUV, and we're sitting in her car talking, and all of a sudden, and this back behind her house, there were these woods, and I started noticing in the side mirror that there were these short shadow people that were gathering near the trunks of the trees in the woods. And after a time, she noticed that I had noticed something. She was involved with the paranormal too, to a certain degree. And she was like, you're seeing something, aren't you? I was like, well, yeah. And I told her what I had seen. And at first we didn't pay it any mind, and we just kind of continued talking a little bit, but more of these shadow beings were gathering there by the trees. And all of a sudden, one approached from the trees to the back of the car. And I told her about this, and I was like, I think it's time for us to go. Normally, if I'd been in like my investigative mode, I would have been like out the door, let's investigate, that sort of thing. But we were there for something totally different. There was something really personal. So it was this was kind of spooking us a little bit. And so I was like, yeah, it's probably time for us to go. And she agreed. And so I got out her car to get to mine, and I'm kind of looking around. I didn't see the shadow being that had approached her SUV, but I could still see the ones along the tree line. And as I'm walking back to my car, I'm keeping an eye on them, that they're not following me. But then I noticed in the treetops, there was this like white, silky, I almost call it like a living spider web, because it's kind of slinking through the treetops. It's like, okay, this is just bizarre. And so got to my car, and we met at a local convenience store to continue the conversation. So yeah, that would probably be like the one time as an adult where I was a little spooked.
Have you ever felt that you were in danger? Never mind being spooked, but in danger at a location, whether it was from the dilapidated site you were on, or the cryptids that you were hunting, or the ghosts or UFOs?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So, I mean, you do really have to take safety into account, especially when you're going to like some of these more abandoned locations, because you're talking, buildings that are falling apart. So safety really comes into play there, where you might have ceilings that are caving in, and you've got water that has soaked into the floor, so you have some real like soft spots, places that have rotted through. And if you're on an upper floor, and people fall through, and some real horrific stories have happened at some of these locations, where and one that I covered, and they weren't even there on a paranormal investigation. They were a bunch of kids running around through, this is Belle Isle in Oklahoma City, the old power plant. A bunch of kids running around through the old power plant, and the 12-year-old girl fell through the floor, and she ended up in the emergency room and died at the hospital. So stuff like that can definitely happen. You have to be very, very careful. So yeah, when you're at some of these locations like that, just safety is really paramount. And I know some people try to go into these locations all gung-ho. Oh, I don't need a flashlight and that sort of thing. It's like, don't be stupid. you take a flashlight with yourself. Be safe about it. You're not getting brownie points for being tough here. If you fall through a floor or something like that, or trip over and go down the old stairs or whatever, people are just going to think you're dumb. So yeah, you don't want to end up in a hospital for doing something, for being stupid, really. So yeah, be safe about it all.
Do you prefer paranormal, cryptids, or UFOs? If you're going out in the field?
That's that's an interesting question. So because I spent many years as a paranormal investigator. The thing is that they're all connected, they're all related. I'll say this: I don't go out squatching. But I've done a lot of camping. I've been out in the woods a lot. I was a Boy Scout as a kid, so I've been out there in those situations, and the UFOs are certainly a fascinating topic. I enjoy it all. Really, what I enjoy is exploring and investigating whatever it is. I do all these Egypt tours, the Stargates of Ancient Egypt tour, and I like going to these ancient sites and just finding myself in these old temples and pyramids, and just running around, and trying to find the ancient secrets. And that's really what it is. Is for me, it's the mystery that drives me. What are the ancient secrets that I can uncover? It could be paranormal, it could be something regarding UFOs, it could be something regarding cryptids, it could be something regarding lost civilizations and ancient wisdom. It all fascinates me.
It would be absolutely a shame of me as a host, after butchering Cincinnati and Cleveland earlier on in the show, if I didn't talk to you about time travel. This is one of the things that you've done a plethora of research on. You are probably one of the most qualified to talk about this subject. Are time travelers here?
I believe so. Yeah. I believe time travel has definitely happened. I believe that's why we have what we call the Mandela effect. These different aspects of changes in the timeline. I believe the future does influence the past. Yeah, absolutely. So when we are kind of scratching our heads, I thought this was something different. Yeah, that has certainly happened. And here's the thing: is there's been a lot of talk about these UFOs and UAPs aren't extraterrestrials, they're actually ourselves from the future. And that may be. That's definitely a theory that I think has some merit, but it might not necessarily be us from the future. It could be, because if we're talking like millions and millions of years from now, is humanity still going to be here millions of years from now? I hope so. But you think the entire lifespan of the Earth to this point is about 4.5 billion years. Well, the dinosaurs went extinct 64 million years ago, which is just over 1% of the entire lifespan of the Earth ago. So 64 million years from now, are humans still going to be here? I don't know. So it may be some other life form that has evolved to the point where it developed civilization and technology, and they could be the time travelers. It could be a extraterrestrial life form that has come to Earth, colonized some point in the future, and develop the technology to come back in time. So yeah, it might be time travelers from Earth, but not necessarily us, not necessarily humans. So yeah, all of that is truly fascinating to me.
Do you think we have the ability to tell a time traveler? Like tell who is a time traveler?
That in a sense might be a little more difficult if they've studied our era. I mean, they could find a way to blend in. If they were just simply wearing the clothes, they know a little bit of the lingo, and somehow they've acquired maybe some cash or whatever to be able to do things with our environment. I mean, you think about it, when you're at the store, how much do you notice other people? I mean, some people are people watchers, but most are not. and people generally just kind of blend into the background on you. People are generally concerned with what they are doing and the people that they are with. They're not usually worried about other people there at the store or on the street or what have you. So I think for the most part, a time traveler could blend in. Yeah.
I've always wondered if they're here. Have you ever met a time traveler or an alleged time traveler?
Oh, that's a good question. I could not say for certain that I have, but you never know, because you have some unusual interactions with people over the years that, and some people will say, I think I just met an angel, because they had such an unusual interaction, and maybe they gave them some advice or pointed them in the right direction or something like that. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific event, but I think we've all had those moments like that. And so it does make you wonder, yeah, sure, an angel or something like that is one possibility. Some sort of guardian, maybe one of your spirit guides manifested as a corporeal figure, or is it a time traveler that knew what was going to happen and was diverting you on a different path? That could be a possibility. Yeah.
You've never had anybody come up to you and just say, "Hey, I'm not from here."
Not straight up like that. No.
I'm like
not like, hey, I'm from the year 2134 or whatever. No, I've never had that.
What would you do if somebody did come up to you like that? How do you think you'd react?
I'd be like, okay, cool. Show me some photos. What does Earth look like? I would start asking questions. And if they, sure, there are some people that that are a little unhinged that will say that they're from this time frame and might say that because they're just not quite all there. But for somebody that is from the future and they started claiming that they were from that era, yeah, I would be very, very curious. Tell me about the future. What's going on? Show me some photos, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you mentioned the Mandela effect with that. You believe the Mandela effect is tied to time travel?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, okay. So yeah, the Mandela effect is basically the when the timeline has been altered, when somebody from the future has gone back into the past. And here's the thing is, when we look at the Mandela effect, a lot of people are Google, top 20 Mandela effects, and you're going to see like a lot of branding changes. The people are remembering branding as being different than what it is today. And here's the thing, there's no time traveler that's going back to change branding. I mean, it's too trivial, right? But I believe that time travelers do go back, and they have a subtle, even if they don't mean to interact with the environment, they do have a subtle interaction with it that can have effects, those ripple effects, like the butterfly effect, that can change things down the road. So take, for instance, say you're a time traveler and you show up in the 1920s or 1930s and you're crossing the street. You think it has no effect, but perhaps a marketing executive or a guy working in marketing was turning into the street that you were crossing and had to stop for you to finish crossing the street. Again, to you, it has like zero effect, but that person had to stop for you, or at least slow down. And that changes the trajectory of where they had to drive. Maybe they were going to get in an accident down the road and didn't, or maybe you delayed them enough to where they had to change their route. And maybe that effect will take fruit of the loom. Maybe that effect in the original timeline, they were going to drive by some sort of fruit stand that had fruit displayed in cornucopias. And that gave them the inspiration to put the Fruit of the Loom artwork inside a cornucopia. But now, because you crossed the street and delayed them, they took a different route or whatever the heck happened, and they didn't pass that fruit stand, and they did not get that inspiration. So now their art design just became the fruit itself without the cornucopia. So,
Yeah, the cornucopia really bugs me because I totally remember that.
right. So you have your time traveler doing nothing whatsoever consciously to change branding, but their mere presence could have changed that.
Get to some quick questions here. We only got about 5 minutes left. I want to ask you, start off with Jules here. Why don't they send up helicopters, jets, ultralights, for heaven's sake, on these drones? I think they have. They have now.
Well, there have been a couple of police helicopters that have gone up. So like local police helicopters have gone up. And basically what has happened is as they approach, the drones turn off their lights and they just seemingly disappear. Now, that's not to mean that they put on some sort of cloaking device or they just poof dematerialize. They could just, because these drones are not coming out until it's nighttime. They're not coming out during the day. So they could be just simply turning off their lights and flying off, and the police helicopters can't see them at that point because it's dark. But that's all that's happened. I don't understand why the military hasn't gone up there to take a look, other than the idea that the military is involved with it. It doesn't make any sense that we haven't scrambled the jets to go take a look at these things. So so that leads me to believe that the government's involved. But yeah, a couple of police helicopters have gone up.
All right, let's move on to another question. Let's go to Sierra. Don't you think if this is the U.S. government doing these drone incursions, it is a passive-aggressive way of getting people to shut up about the UFO topic?
Yeah, and we were talking a little bit about that earlier, where this could be one way that the government is trying to postulate, hey, all this UFO and UAP activity is just these drones over here that we are putting up in the sky. So, especially coming on the heels of the Arrow hearing there, and where he was basically really dismissive of like the Go Fast video and some of these other things. So it seems like the government has been retaliating over the progress that we've made here over the past couple of years talking about this subject. That this could certainly be a false flag sort of operation to kind of subdue a lot of the UFO talk.
Let's go to Luna. Your emotional, overall psychological and or spiritual health ever been on a tightrope due to the fright or history of your investigations? What's the worst case you've had that's had you shaking in your boots?
Well, that's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the shadows in the woods, but it wasn't on an investigation. On investigations, I'm in that mode of this is what we're doing. So when I've seen things, heard things, experienced things, I'm actually going toward it. I'm curious and I want to know more about it. So on investigations, I have not had an experience that has had me shaking in my boots or scared me or anything like that. Anything that's been unusual, I've gone toward it. Yeah.
All right, one more. This will be the final question tonight. Super Crazy's asking, can a shadow person be touched, or is it like trying to touch a hologram? Depends
on the shadow. Some of them are very translucent in nature, so you're not going to, there's not going to be a physical interaction. Some are just mists and wisps and these sorts of things. I have had a shadow entity get physical with me. That was the one the first shadow experience that I had, and I was only about 8 years old. But and when it touched me, people have asked, what did it feel like? Was it feel electric or cold or anything like that? And actually, it just felt like anybody else touching me. So yeah. So when they do touch you or you touch it, that sort of thing, they can feel solid, but other times it's just like vapor. It just depends on the shadow.
My friend, it is always great to have you on Spaced Out Radio. I want to do a full show with you next time on time travel early in the new year, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We'll do a full show on time travel. That'd be great.
I,
Absolutely.
I'm so curious how you're tying this into the Mandela effect because I love those two topics. I love those two. And
Well, I have a whole section on that in Travels Through Time. So yeah, we can definitely dive into that for sure.
all the best to you and your loved ones during the Christmas holidays. I'm a
You
Merry
too.
Christmas guy. So thank you very much for coming on the show. And we will talk to you very soon, Mike.
Sounds fantastic. Thanks again, Dave, and Merry Christmas.
All right. Coming up next, Swamp Dwellers here with another creepy story. Jackie Harmon will join us for the Cryptid Report coming up to kick off hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. Much love, my friend. That was awesome.
Likewise. You have a good one.
Yeah, man. You take care.
You too.
And we will be chatting with you. What's better for you, January or February?
January toward the end of the month. Well, both of them, January or February toward the end of the months.
Okay.
So I have stuff going on at the beginning of both of those. So, yep. That'll work.
Let's
All
see.
right.
Hold on. Let me go to January 2025 here quickly. 28, 29, or 31?
Oh, let's see what the days those line up on.
Monday, or pardon me, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday?
So you said 28,
29th or 31st?
Let's go with the 28th.
That's a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yeah.
All right. I got you in here.
Cool.
All right.
That'll be great. All right.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you then.
Yep. Take care, Dave. Have a great night.
Right. Good night. Bye. Mike Ricksecker, everybody. Great guest. It's going to be a good one at the end of January, too. I'll be right back. Let the newbies know what we do here. All right, I'm back. Hello, Jackie. All right, if you're new here, we are a live radio show, so we do have to take commercial breaks. So that's what we're doing. Eloise Richardson, how are you? Good to see you. Become one with the chair. That's right, sweets. That's right. Big thank you to Richard with a hat trick, Deanna Debaruni. Actually, Richard with 4, extra small Lee, Kitty Cattywhack, Jeremy, Gary, and Raven for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love. Hi, Bombshell Bomber. How are you? And I think we're caught up. All right. Shop at our store. We do not have ugly swag. All right, here we go. Like 3 seconds. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadringenarius. Quadringenarius is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. And on that note, let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Hi, I grew up in southern New Hampshire and had some exciting times in East Derry. I grew up on a cul-de-sac with a police captain and a detective as my neighbors. Many weird and strange things happened while living there, most connected to the house. I had this type of shadow person. It would take shape of my family members, and years after moving from that house, my older brother would tell me, whatever it was, it liked you. Which brings us to one of the many stories I have to share with this show. My best friend lived 5 houses from me, and her parents owned a pop-up camper. Their yard was right up onto some woods. It was located on the side of their house, with a door the family used as a main entrance. Being the young 12 to 14-year-olds we had many sleepovers, with other kids in the neighborhood, of course. We had a few experiences, and I'll tell you the most haunting one. This night, it was just her and I messing around the yard on the edge of the woods. We're both girls. At that age, we would bicker over the dumbest things. This night, it was her throwing a piece of gum at me and it getting lost between the mattresses and the lining of the camper. She wasn't willing to give me another piece, leading us to butting heads. We were bickering back and forth about her giving me another piece when we both went dead quiet. Suddenly, we heard what sounded like footsteps coming out from the woods and slowly circling the RV. Then came some unintelligible talking. I don't really know how to describe it other than it was like right outside of our window. But it still sounded like it was far away. It was definitely a man's voice, and we could not make out what was being said. It almost sounded like it was in another language. Gibberish, if you will. We looked at each other with concern, and I remember her taking off her socks. They were fuzzy and new, and she didn't want to get them ruined when running away. It was just us making the 15-foot sprint to the side door of the house, inside and up the stairs to her room while grabbing the house phone on the way. Her parents were unfortunately drunks at the time, so we didn't feel like waking them. Instead, we did the only rational thing and called my house. My mom ended up driving around the neighborhood 2 times, only to call us back and tell us that she saw nothing. We were so freaked out that we slept on the floor beside each other. Where we slept was under the window that overlooked her front yard, and I'm unsure when we fell asleep, but we both remember hearing raking and digging before we did. This is a story going on almost 20 years ago now. I am to this day still friends with my childhood best friend, If I ever tell this story or other ones that happened and someone doubts it, I can definitely try my best to get them to share their side of the story. A lot of weird stuff takes place in Derry. I know this wasn't the creepiest story in the woods, but honestly, I gotta tell you, it's something that made me very wary of going out in the woods alone or even in general.
Yes, the samurai chatter. Oh, let's talk to Jackie about that.
Oh, hello, Jackie.
All right, Jackie Harmon is here for the Cryptid Report. It's been a couple of weeks since she was here. I have to ask, because you played Grinch in a parade a couple weeks ago. Were you waving at strangers?
I did.
Oh. Honestly, I was telling Lee that night as Lee was filling in for you. That is the biggest reason why I don't go to parades. I can't handle strangers waving at me. Like, it's different. Like, if
Like
you're
the queen.
no, it's different. Like, hey, I'll hold a door open for anybody. If I'm walking down the sidewalk, I'll say hi, how are you, or whatever. Not a problem. But strangers
That's
waving
funny.
at I don't like it. It weirds me out. Weirds
I
me out.
mean, I started out in parades when I was like really, really tiny. So it kind of just takes me back to like memories of when I was like really young. So I don't know. It just seems normal for me. I don't know.
Mhm.
I remember I was literally like maybe 3 or 4, and I used to remember the baton back in the day. I was in
Mhm.
like a little group, and we'd go in parades and do our batons and our little flags and all that. So yeah, good times. I have no problem with it. It's fun.
Oh, I know. It's just one of those weird things, one of those quirks about me. Totally one of those quirks about me that I don't like parades.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is funny though, seeing like strangers wave at you like, you're somebody super special. You're sitting in a truck like, yay, it's me.
yeah. I think the other thing too I don't like about parades is how there's no imagination to them anymore. At least up here in Canada. We don't get the floats anymore. You don't get the marching bands.
Oh,
It's literally flat deck semi truck after flat deck
whoa.
semi truck. Mix in a few of the emergency response vehicles with their lights on and blowing their siren, which I always think is cool. By the way, love our
Wow.
EMTs.
Oh my
But just
gosh.
after flat deck, you
Oh
know,
no, ours is totally different. Ours is like literally going to like a Disneyland parade. I mean, you've got people dancing, you've got the high school and junior high bands, you've got floats, everybody's covered in lights, people dressed up in like costumes. I mean, they go all out here. It was fun. It went on for like 3 straight hours and we had a blast. It's a good
yeah, I,
time.
I can see that. I can see where that would be a blast. I don't like it. I don't like it. Zero appreciation for it. You know what the other thing that I can't stand?
What's
You're a
that?
parent. Maybe you like them. Okay. Children's Christmas concerts at school.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those are
Having
boring.
to sit through those is the most painful thing
Yeah,
ever.
I agree. Those are rough.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is with them, but it's like you can't get out fast enough. They go on forever. You feel exhausted and just it's just awful. Awful. I hate them.
Oh, I my son's
Sorry, kids.
Christmas concert is next week, and I am absolutely dreading it. Dreading it.
I
I am
mean,
so
you could
sick of
put like
hearing
a, thing in your ear. Like that's what my brother-in-law does. He puts like stuff in his ear and he listens to like a game off of his phone or something.
I think it's because they've made Christmas
Yeah.
so politically correct not to offend anybody that
Oh,
that
yeah.
You know,
They are
like,
different.
I'm sorry, I don't mean no insult to our Australian listeners. I don't need 6 white boomers every year. O okay? Kangaroos are not flying with Santa Claus. You know? They're not. We gotta get over that. Or
Oh,
just it's horrible. It's a
yeah.
horrible thing. Kids' Christmas concerts,
Yeah,
and
they're not fun.
yeah, I agree. All right, let's
Not
talk
fun
some
at all.
monsters here. Let's get right into it. Ever heard the samurai chatter?
Of course.
First
Yes.
off, explain to our audience what that is.
Okay, so it's basically so actually more I know more than one group that it's actually caught this on audio, but it's basically like listening to multiple like a Bigfoot chattering, talking to each other. Um I know probably like at least 3 or 4 different groups over the last probably like 5 years at least that have caught them. It seems like you hear more and more now. I think more and more people are like recording and taking their phones. Everyone has a camera and a phone and audio all the time now, so I think people are catching that more often. But basically, that's what it is like you're listening to multiple different, you know, Bigfoot's talking to each other, and it's like kind of like a gibberish conversation. It does sound a lot like they are literally having conversation, like communicating in a language of their own. But that's what it sounds like to me. And I've actually had that around me a couple different times, and I heard it when Lee and I were in at Mount Adams. He said he doesn't really like hear it, but I heard it very clearly when I was there. You could literally hear it's like the adults and the children, because we knew that there were minors because of the footsteps that we found. But I heard them back and forth, talking back and forth. And so have you ever heard that in real life though? Like, have you ever actually heard it with your own ears?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's an interesting thing to hear.
Merle and I had that happen at our location where we filmed.
Mhm.
That was in 2018,
Oh wow.
where we had the samurai chatter there, and we didn't even put 2 and 2 together that it was a
Oh
sa
wow.
we were there investigating the paranormal. So
Oh.
we thought it was a ghost talking to us because we didn't see it. We
Oh
knew where the
yeah.
sound was coming from, and it happened twice. It happened twice with us. And so when
Yeah.
we went back to where we were investigating off the deer trail, and we took the deer trail back to where we were investigating, that's when Merle had the one sneak up on him within 20 feet of him.
Oh
And
yeah.
Mark, our armed guard in the area, had one coming at him straight through. And so,
Yeah.
yes, I have heard it with my own ears, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together until about
Mm.
8 months after that
Oh
happened.
wow.
And I reheard the Sierra sounds from Ronald Moorhead.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Actually, Ron actually right before Lee and I went to Mount Adams, that trip that we did this last summer, for my birthday. He sent us the audio, and we actually played it the first afternoon we were out there. And I do believe that that audio was what really got them more curious about us, because when I think you play something that we don't personally understand what they're saying, I 100% believe that they understand it without a doubt. So I don't know
Oh.
exactly what was said, but I think they understood it clearly.
Oh, I would totally agree with you. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to get you up here next year
I want
to,
to.
yeah. So here's my plan. After Las Vegas, when we do our Merle and Dave party, which you and Ane and Extra Small Lee and Sweet Robbie G and many others are attending,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to start probably within 2 weeks after that. That's where I'm going to start my investigation, and I'm going to have it all
Oh,
planned out by then.
perfect.
But I've decided, it came to me the other night and trying to figure out what should I do?
Mhm.
How should I handle this? How do I get started? And I realized a couple things. Number one,
Mhm.
I need 3 cameras.
Mhm.
3 cameras, one front, one back, one reactionary. So I need 3 cameras. I've got 0 right now. So I need
Uh-oh.
3. That's going to be there goes my tax return for next year.
Just
But
have Lee come. He owns every camera known to mankind.
I know. I'm going to tell you, somebody on Facebook Marketplace is going to love me. They are going to love me and my money. There goes my spending on my. You know what I'm doing? I'm exchanging my free money that I have to build up my watch collection for cameras for this. And
There
then
you
I've
go.
decided, for the
Mhm.
first few times, probably 6 times that I am out there, I am literally bringing a lawn chair, and that's it. Filming everything, of course,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm literally bringing a lawn chair and
Mhm.
sitting there silent for at
Yeah.
least 6 times.
Yeah. I've told Lee multiple times now that it doesn't matter what location I go back to. If we go to the same location we were at or a different location, I will never ever get in a tent. I will never ever try to go to sleep and try to be inside away from being outside. I will be outside the entire time, and that's it. I'm not even sure I'll actually stay in the location, but I'll probably do the investigation and then remove myself from the area if I'm in the same one I was at before. Now, your place, I would probably stay up all night and be fine to rest in the morning, but there'll be no more crawling in tents at nighttime for me. I won't do it.
At least floating tents,
Never ever again. Never ever again. No thanks.
right?
Not happening. No.
I get that. I totally get that. I
Mm-mm.
totally see with where you're going. And I don't know if I had that same thing happen to me, I really don't know if I would go back there at night. Like, even in my location where
Yeah.
I am planning all of this, I
Hmm.
am not staying the night out there. Not at all. I am way too scared to stay night.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because one thing, and literally one thing, happened to change my mind about staying in those locations. And you guys all know, what I'm talking about with the whole rub down in tent. I'm just not going to do it. It's changed my mind to the point of it's just like I will go out and I will investigate. There will no more camping, no more staying, no more trying to sleep out there at night. I'm done with it. And I totally agree with you. I just don't think it's safe.
I don't think so either.
No.
Just don't want to do it.
Yeah. It's
I
funny because we have people tell us all the time, like, oh, I'll go with you. I'm not afraid. I'll do it. They just don't know. Until you go and experience it, you just don't know. Like, we're talking 50 years experience from me alone. And here I am now saying, nope, not doing it.
outside of that incident where you were assaulted by one of them. I guess we could
Hmm.
use that term.
Yeah.
What's what's the scariest episode you've had?
Outside of that one,
Yeah.
I was actually in Northern California near right above Willow Creek. And if this is where they obviously have the most famous Bigfoot sighting, which is the Patterson Gimlin location. And I went up there probably about, oh gosh, it was probably 4 years ago now. And I had a very strange experience where I was actually sleeping outside in a tent. Well, it wasn't even like a regular tent, it was more like a makeshift tarp tent that someone had created. And the person that I went there with to investigate wasn't even in there maybe like 10 minutes and freaked out because we kept hearing noises outside. And of course, you know me, I'm just like, I'm staying in here. I'm not going to go get it in the truck. I'm just going to sleep in the tent and see what happens. And I remember hearing the one of the strangest sounds that I had ever heard. Now, I heard walking around, and it almost sounded like something was brushing up against the tarp. Now, it could have very easily been more wind hitting something in there, but it just had that sound of something coming up and like leaning up against it. But the strange sound was, it was like one of those styrofoam cups. And it sounded like, now I don't know if it was a styrofoam cup, but it was just, that was the noise in my brain that I was thinking like that's what it sounds like. But it sounded like it was being drug around the tent, and we were basically parked on off the side road. It was like a cul-de-sac dead end area and just this big grass area that we were parked in and put the tent up in. And it sounded like this cup was just being drug all around like the gravel over and over and around me. And I was in there the entire, I never got up, I never left the tent. And I just thought, well, I'm sticking it out. I'm not gonna get up and try to go outside or anything. And the person I was with was in the truck, couldn't. Well, actually, he said to me the next day, I heard this strange sound, and he told me the exact same sound. And I said I was listening to it for a really long time, and he said, yeah, it lasted probably over an hour. And I said, yeah, I remember laying there. I was out there by myself, and yeah, it was a strange situation because you're just not gonna have, like, where's that going to come from? Like, where does that sound come from? It's like, doesn't even make any sense. Well, I got up the next day and I looked all around us, never could find anything that would make that sound. Absolutely nothing. So I have no idea what it was, but it was just a very odd thing that I heard that just didn't make any sense at all. So, and that was one of the locations that I saw probably the most evidence of Bigfoot than any location I've ever been in, including the Mount Adams location, because of the tree structures, just the different formations, the just the way we found nests, branches that intertwined in between trees. They do that quite often, and it would go all the way up, snap. It actually was still together and came back down. I actually have a picture of me standing underneath it, and you can tell just like I'm 5'7", and that thing was way above me. So something had to do that and make that tree go up and bend like that.
Right.
But don't know. It was strange.
We'll continue on with the cryptid report. Jackie Harmon is here. Jackie. And when we come back, this is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott. Excuse me. Good start, Jackie.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. We
Nah.
forgot who you were and what you look like and
I'm
what you
sorry.
sounded like. you know.
Well, my family owns a company that I work for, actually two companies. I only work for one, but we are an entertainment company that all throughout the holidays we host special events, and they always want to do it on a Friday and Saturday night, and they last till usually about midnight or so. So I'm sorry, guys. I know I've missed you all, but that's where I've been doing my family events. It's my job.
Love it.
If I didn't get paid, I'd be here instead. That's what I do for a living.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do for a living.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Hmm.
It is. But don't worry.
But I'm good. I'm back now.
You're back, Jackie.
As long as you guys miss me, that's all that matters.
Oh, we missed you. Of course we did. We're just going to give you a hard time.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm really happy I can be here tonight and be back. It's nice to feel that, like, seeing my friends and talking to everybody. And Lee and I had a great show earlier, so it's nice.
Oh,
Good.
that's nice.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna come on here with us tonight.
What's that?
He said he was gonna come on here with us tonight, but I don't see him anywhere.
Well, I mean,
He
he's
probably got
probably
tired.
still struggling to get out of his shirt, right?
It's probably caught over that little head of his.
Well, he does have them jowls. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh. Oh man, I'm so excited. I can't wait for May to get here and all of us get to hang out again.
Yeah. It's going to be
Yes.
good.
It's gonna be
It's going to
great.
be good.
Yep. Ane and I have got our room booked. We're good to go.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny because we talk about this situation about the whole Bigfoot thing and the area that Lee and I had that situation happen to us. And this is the first location that I've really, really had a lot of like struggles with. I'm still having horrible nightmares, which is really weird because, like, I know I'm home, I'm safe, I'm good, everything's fine. But for some weird reason, I get a lot of like anxiety over it. And it'll cause me to not sleep well, and then I'm struggling still with like really bad dreams. And I don't know why I can't like fully let it go. It's very strange.
That's odd.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I've been thinking about maybe like possibly having someone talk to someone about maybe like going back there and seeing if maybe I can like find a way to fully get past it because it's really causing some issues.
Totally have to.
Yeah.
That's like same thing with me in my location. I'm just, I'm just, I'm petrified to go there. Petrified.
Yeah. It's not fun once you go past that place of comfort, and it pushes you over the edge. And like I'm fully aware that I'm struggling with PTSD over it, and that I probably seriously need to like talk to somebody, but that's just not, I mean, you got to find a special person to talk to, so I still don't understand the missing time. um it's all very weird. It's like my brain can't completely figure it out still, and I maybe am like kind of unsure of like what happened fully.
Oh,
I don't
I
know.
don't think you fully comprehended it.
Mm-mm. No. There was a lot of weird things that went on that I still like. I even, to be honest with you, I still can't go back and listen to the audio. Like Lee and I
Yeah.
in the very
Hold on
beginning.
here, hon. Hold on here because we're coming back.
Okay,
Just bear with me.
no problem.
We're coming back in 7 seconds. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio, the Cryptid Report with Jackie Harmon is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for being here. We always do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Remember, all of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio or every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Jackie Harmon is here for the big show, the Cryptid Report. How you doing, Jackster?
I'm doing really good. Doing really, really good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I got a story for you from our friends at Creepy Acres.
Oh, good. Tell me.
On this day, 2014, in Carmel, Ohio, Robert, a 60-year-old former Marine, and his spouse are traveling along Route 506, heading to their home located near the Fort Hills Earthworks and Nature Preserve. Upon reaching the unincorporated community of Carmel, they turn onto Carmel Road and round the curve in front of the Faith Free Freedom Church and Carmel Cemetery. As they crest a small hill, a bizarre, unearthly creature darts across the road in front of them. For a moment, this being is illuminated in the couple's headlights, revealing a ghastly, asphalt gray, thin, 7-foot-tall, armless entity with two large muscular legs that appeared to bend backwards. This creature leans forward as it bolts across the road. Startled, Robert shouts, "What the hell was that?" Then it's gone, disappearing back into the inky darkness. While this creature hasn't been reported since, some people believe it bears a resemblance to the Fresno nightcrawlers, which gained worldwide attention after being caught on a home security camera in Fresno, California in 2007. How weird is that?
I used to live in Fresno. I went to high school in Clovis, which is connected to Fresno. And I had a very weird experience one time out in the country. A lot of us lived out kind of a little bit further out. And I was probably like, gosh, maybe 12, 13 years old. And we were way out at her parents' house and we decided to go for a jog. I don't know. Back in the day, kids like to do stuff like that. Nobody leaves the house anymore. But so we decided to go run around and we're running out in the middle of like, Orange Grove or something, trees just everywhere. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she starts screaming bloody murder. And I look at her, and I'm not even kidding you when I say she went from running to she went into a full-blown panic. And I don't know if you remember like ever panicking and then you feel like it's almost puts you in slow motion because you're freaking out. She couldn't even walk anymore. Her legs gave out and she ended up like on all fours and started crawling like she was panicked trying to get away. And I had no idea what was happening. And she looked at me and by the time I caught up to her, she was bawling and freaking out, screaming. And I said, "What is going on?" And she said she saw some creepy creature come out from behind the trees, and I didn't see it. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I could just see it on her face that whatever it was, it scared her. And I remember her explaining to me what it looked like. And I thought, well, whatever it is, I don't want to see it. And I never did see it. But whatever it was she saw reminds me of that Fresno creepy crawler thing that goes around. And I've heard about it since then, but I never saw it. But she swears that she saw something. It was like it was coming at her at one point, and then I don't know where it went because I never ever saw anything. It was very strange, but it was like in the middle of the day.
No kidding, eh? That's just
Yeah, we
creepy.
were young. We were probably like 12. Yeah.
The weird
Yeah,
part about
no joke.
the weird part about the Fresno nightcrawlers is the, and I don't mean to make fun of this, but I mean this is like the bottom half ghost of MC Hammer, wearing the baggy pants. I'm waiting for them to all of a sudden break out. Can't touch this. Do do do
Yeah,
do
do.
do do.
That's right.
I can't
Yeah.
wait for them to bring that out.
Oh
But
my God, that's hilarious.
I mean, this creature from the Creepy Acres story. The
Yeah.
one thing that I would say to this is, to me, it almost sounds like an emu or a ostrich that doesn't have its feathers.
Yeah. That is strange. The ones that I keep seeing now, of course, you never know what's real and what's not real anymore on the internet. But the strange thing that I keep seeing is very much like how they describe the Fresno nightcrawler, because they look like very skinny, tall humans bent over, like their legs and their butt are kind of up in the air and they're like just running around, but they all look like this pale white, like glowy kind of look to them. And they're very strange. So I don't know if it's the same thing as a Fresno nightcrawler, but I don't know where these people are getting these videos from, but literally every single one I've watched now, it's the same creature over and over.
Do you think we're seeing more of them, or we're just showing some different type of videos
I
from
mean,
different angles?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I obviously believe that there are multiple cryptids that are out there in the world. Growing up in Fresno, like as a young kid and going through high school, like it's such a weird area for people to say like they're seeing even things like this. But then again, it, like I said, it reminds me of what my friend said when we were kids. It's like, what did she see? She saw something, whatever it was. It scared her to death. So I don't know. It's strange.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to run into one. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't. I feel like the older I get, the less I want to run into.
I hear that.
I can't
I
run
hear
as
that.
fast. I got bad knees now.
Right? It's like
Yeah,
me
I
trying.
don't want to run into that.
It's like me trying to dodge all the silver hairs when I go pick up my grandma from bingo. Right?
There you go.
Scary times. You don't know what's going to be happening.
You
Holy
never
cow.
know. Never know what's coming at
You
you.
never know. What monster scares you?
I probably would have never said this before, but I'm gonna say Bigfoot now. I think that because of my experience that I had in the summer, I think I now fear Bigfoot way more than I ever thought you would ever have to. Um, a long, long time ago, I would have said, I don't even think that that's something to fear. I think that when you get too close to them and they use that, that like gutter growl to kind of scare people off, that's just their way of saying, get out of my home. This is my space, get away. But now I definitely have this fear in me that makes me wonder what they might be capable of. And I'm not going to say that I think it was trying to hurt me because it obviously didn't. I think it was more curious, but it definitely left a fear in me.
I can understand why. I mean, for people who don't know or are listening for the first time, you literally got groped in your
Yeah,
tent.
I did.
You know, a lot of people will sit there and say, "How do you know it wasn't a person playing a trick on you and being a pervert?"
Woo, okay. Well, let me just tell you, no human has the first of all, the size of the hand was could probably it could probably wrap its whole hand around my entire head. It's just massive. I could feel the hand doubled over around my whole left side of my body. Not only that, but the upper part of the arm. Now I was a pretty good size. I was in the middle of a tent, and its body never even pressed up against the tent. It just put its arm out underneath, and for it to have the distance to even go as far as I was, and to be able to wrap its whole hand around my left side of my body and to leave the literally bruises up and down my left side of my body. Humans just don't have that ability to just kind of squeeze you, touch you, and you feel like from probably the middle of my back to the middle of my chest. That's what it felt like, it's just I just knew. Um it's just like it's just almost like saying, like, compare like a child's hand to someone who plays basketball. You know what I mean? It's just that's what it felt like in laying there. And it's just so funny because Lee and I were just talking about this like maybe 2 days ago, and he said to me, "I'm still completely mind blown how still you stayed." How calm you stayed. The fact that you just laid there and didn't freak out, you didn't scream, you didn't like do anything, but just literally lay there until it was done. And that says a lot about who you are in this field, because anybody else probably would have just freaked out, screamed, panicked, or jumped up or something. But I just knew to lay there and just like calmly stay still and be quiet. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's just, you know, you just have to stay calm in those moments. Like things are going to happen sometimes where you just need to keep your, cool. And I just knew to do that. So, I am dealing with the fact that it happened. It's still affecting me, but I know I'm okay. Like I said, I know I'm okay and that I'm safe and everything's okay now, but you're dealing with the aftermath of something that you never expected to happen. And I definitely know I'm going to have to get some help. I don't know exactly what kind of person I will see. I'm not going to go see like a regular therapist. I would never want to open up to someone who's just going to judge me and think I'm crazy. But I had an uncle who used to hypnotize people and talk about past lives. He's passed on, so I would consider doing something like that. Maybe see if there's something more about it or something that I can do to get past it. But I will sometimes lay in bed for 2 or 3 hours and not be able to sleep, and the anxiety is so bad that even I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get past this? But it's intense. So I'm definitely going to do something about it.
In a way, I can totally agree with what you're saying, because at Flight 21 it's the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm petrified of going back there. Now, I didn't
Yeah.
get obviously accosted or assaulted in any way, but I can tell you this, whatever is in that forest is definitely watching,
Oh,
and it's
100%.
creepy to know. It's
Not
creepy to
only is it watching, it knows you.
It knows me.
Absolutely. They know you. They remember you. 100%. It knows you. It knows before you get there. It knows you're coming. It's very in tune with you. That's what they do, and they remember people. That's probably why you have some kind of fear. Now I know we've talked a little bit about mind speak before. I 100% guarantee you that it's messed with you in mind speak. That's how they get to us. And I
I'll tell you.
guarantee it's happened.
I will tell you this. When we started getting stalked, what scared me wasn't the creature. It was seeing the look on our security guard Mark's face. I've known Mark a long time now, and I'd never seen that look on his face in the forest. And he, you know, he'll deny it to this day, but he had a real look of concern.
Mm,
I don't think he was scared, but he had a real look of concern that it's time to go before something does happen, like an
yeah.
intuition.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's exactly what happened to me the second night. Soon as we literally ended the show, the live show that we did with Rob, it was like instant, and I knew we had to go. It was time to go. I felt like they were telling me it was time to go. They didn't want us there, and if we stayed, it probably would have been really bad for us. And within probably 10 minutes, Lee, I think he thought I was just like freaked out from night one. And I actually was perfectly fine in the second location, even though some strange things were happening. But the second that feeling came on, it was like we couldn't leave fast enough. I couldn't pack up fast enough. Neither one of us even wanted to go in to the woods and get our cameras. We were just like, God, I can't believe we have to go back in there and grab those. But when about 10 minutes after my feeling, he got the same feeling, and that was it. He was like, now I feel it. And I feel like if we stay here, something bad's going to happen. Like they're going to literally tear us apart, kill us. And I said, I'm at the point right now where I'm willing to get in the car, leave the crap here, go down the hill, stay somewhere safe, and come back and get it, or else we pack it up now, but we're out of here. I wasn't about to stay one more minute. I knew they wanted us gone. It wasn't a good feeling.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
That is for sure. We got 3.5 minutes here before we have to go tonight and head off into the yonder, because we never get to use the word yonder on this show. Your
Yeah.
advice to people who want to get into this. And the reason why I asked that, if you go to Merle's channel, the Paranormal Road Trippers on YouTube, he has actually started a great video on how to become a paranormal investigator. And I encourage anybody who's looking into the field to actually check that out. So what's your
Yeah.
advice?
My advice these days is tread lightly, be safe, protect yourself, and trust your gut. And if something makes you uncomfortable, leave. That's my advice now. I 100% go with that. You need to understand when something tells you you're not welcome, you're not wanted, and you don't want to stay somewhere when you're not sure what's on the other side. There are cryptids out there. There's negative beings. I don't think that all of them are negative, but there are some that are extremely negative, and I do believe that quite a few of them are gosh, I don't want to say like satanic, style kind of scary, but That's a that's pushing it, but you know what I'm saying? Like some things are dark, very, very dark and scary. And I just think that people just need to absolutely trust your gut. And no matter what you do, if it's ghost hunting or Bigfoot or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Just stay safe, go in groups, don't ever do it alone. And always trust your feelings.
That gut feeling, what does it feel like for people who may not know?
You're definitely gonna know when your feelings change. You're definitely gonna feel something different. You're, you're probably gonna feel nervous. Um, when I get super nervous, I start to get kind of hot, and my stomach almost kind of just feels weird. It's almost like my brain's just like, stop. Put everything on hold right now. Back up, go somewhere safe, and just, you just have to trust those feelings. That's why we have that sixth sense. You have to just trust those feelings. And it's just like doing anything in life. When something feels uncomfortable and you don't feel welcome, you're gonna feel it. That feeling is strong. And that's it. That's when you know enough, leave them alone. It doesn't matter where you are. I don't care if you're in an abandoned building or out in the middle of the forest. Those feelings mean something. And when you feel it, trust it. It's a sign for you to follow your gut and go.
Thank you, Jackie, as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. There we go. There we go.
I'll tell you one other thing that you'll definitely know if something's like wrong and you're in a bad situation. And I'm not gonna lie, I did it. Pee myself. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. Hey, Jack, stick around for a couple seconds.
Yeah,
To the rest of you, I got to get ready for a busy day tomorrow. I haven't even started my Christmas shopping yet, and I still have to work tomorrow. So I'm going to get out of here quickly. And thank you for a great night. Thank you to Richard ×4, Gary, Jeremy, Kitty Cattywhack, Raven, Extra Small Lee, Deanna, and Deborah Rooney for the super chats. Greatly appreciate you. And don't forget, this weekend, you got Sweet Robbie G hanging on out, doing our thing with us as he does every weekend to make us sound just smooth and beautiful until I am back on Monday night with Jeff Selver, as we talk ET contact here in British Columbia. We'll see you all very soon, everybody. Have a good night. Have a great weekend. I'm going to go outside and watch the snowfall. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.